Incredible family outing turns heartwarming. 3 unexpected texts revealed a life-changing secret. The air was electric at the carnival, bursting with laughter, the bright lights flashing like stars in a dark sky. Sarah watched as Lily, her 8-year-old daughter, tugged excitedly at her sleeve, her eyes wide with wonder. Jake, her 10-year-old son, nearly bounced off the ground, pointing to the towering Ferris wheel. For the first time in what felt like ages, Sarah could breathe. Long shifts at the diner seemed to fade into the background. Here, joy wrapped around them like a cozy blanket. She had saved for months, sacrificing little luxuries, to give her kids this moment. As the trio ventured from ride to ride, giggles and shouts filled the air. The merry-go-round, the cotton candy stand, the game booths where even $1 felt like a ticket to magic. The scent of popcorn and fried dough mixed with the sweet twist of nostalgia. Watching her children smile uplifted Sarah's spirits, but beneath her happiness lingered the weight of her struggles, the burdens of a single mother clawing at her thoughts. Mid-laughter, her old smartphone buzzed. The jarring sound barely registered above the carnival's joyful chaos, yet something compelled her to check. A text from an unknown number flashed on the screen, sending her heart racing. It referred to her father, a man she'd believed had abandoned them years ago. Confusion and disbelief flooded her mind. Another message quickly followed, revealing secrets she'd never imagined. Her father had been a war hero, a decorated veteran who had vanished not out of choice but by circumstances that had nearly shattered their family. Before she could process the news, another text arrived. "Your father didn't he leave you, Sarah? He was taken from us by a broken system." The words sent chills down her spine. Sarah remembered only whispers about him, empty roads leading to her painful childhood. The memories were shrouded in neglect and financial struggle, sharp contrast to the affluent families that thrived in their neighborhood. The local gossip reeled in her ears, reminding her of her brother, who had chosen wealth over family. How could he leave her to navigate this alone? "Mom! Look!" Lily shouted, pulling Sarah back into the present, where Jake was waving them over to a balloon artist. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that her whole world was shifting beneath her feet. With her children's laughter echoing in her ears, she knew she had to tell them about the messages, about the father they never truly knew. Their faces lit with curiosity as she spoke, and something sparked in their hearts. Fueled by newfound hope, the trio concocted a plan to confront their wealthy neighbors at an upcoming charity event if they could just find a way to communicate their truth. It offered a glimpse of recognition and justice in the face of a world that often turned a blind eye to families like theirs. But in the spotlight of that night, instead of empowerment, they became the spectacle. Judgmental glances pierced through her children's innocent excitement. The experience stripped them bare, exposing their vulnerabilities. "Leave it to the elite to look down on us," a voice scoffed, making Sarah's heart thud painfully. Faced with the truth of their economic disparities, her determination hardened. She had to confront her brother one last time, hoping to reconcile their shared legacy and bridge the growing chasm between them. Yet just as she gathered the courage to approach him, another message buzzed on her phone, pulling her back into a whirlwind of uncertainty. With each word, she felt her foundation tremble again. Were these texts truly the keys to healing the wounds of her family's past, or were they opening doors she wasn't ready to walk through? In that moment, Sarah stood at a crossroads, heart racing, leaving her anxious for what the next chapter held. The vibrant lights of the carnival dimmed in Sarah's mind, eclipsed by the storm of emotions brewing within her. Her heart raced as she stood frozen, phone in hand, contemplating the implications of the latest message. What did it mean that her father hadn't left by choice? How had a war hero ended up sounding like a pawn in a heart-wrenching tale of neglect? "Mom? Are you okay?" Jake's voice broke through her thoughts, laced with genuine concern. She turned to find her children looking up at her, their faces a mix of worry and confusion. It struck her just how much they still relied on her, a responsibility that suddenly felt heavier than it ever had. "Yeah, sweetie, I'm fine," she replied, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. They had come here for fun and laughter, not for her family's tangled history. But the truth was now on her mind, gnawing at her like a relentless itch she couldn't scratch. As they made their way away from the balloon artist, Sarah paused, desiring to capture some semblance of joy amid the chaos swirling in her head. If she was going to share her father's story, she needed to ground it in love, not hurt. "How about we take a picture in front of the Ferris wheel?" she suggested, her pulse steadying just a notch. Lily's face instantly brightened, and she clapped her hands, jumping up and down. "Yes. That'd be fun." Jake nodded, a small smile starting to form. "Mom, I want to go on that ride next." With the backdrop of colorful lights glinting against the night sky, they squeezed together, arms around each other's shoulders, and Sarah clicked the shutter. The camera captured a moment, a fleeting instant of pure joy that felt almost sacred against the storm that loomed. When they stepped back, Sarah felt a renewed sense of purpose wash over her. This wasn't just about confronting her brother or untangling the truths of the past. It was about creating a future for her family, one where love and understanding triumphed over bitterness and secrets. "All right, team," she called, rallying the kids around her. "What's next? Carnival games?" Their enthusiasm returned like fireflies igniting in the dark, and they hurried from booth to booth, winning cheap prizes and indulging in silly games. Each laugh echoed in her heart, and for a moment, it all felt manageable again. Yet, as they left the carnival, the texts burned in her pocket, an unspoken shadow hanging over them. The journey home felt like an ascent, every stoplight a reminder of the climb she had ahead. She thought of her brother and the rift growing between them. Was it time to reach out? Could they find a way to heal together? When she finally returned home, after tucking the kids into bed, she let the silence settle around her. The glow of her phone beckoned, the screen revealing yet another message, this time from the same unknown number. "Sarah, I know this is overwhelming, but you deserve the truth. You need to meet before it's too late." A chill ran down her spine as she stared at the words. Her heart thumped not just for what the message might mean, but for what lay ahead. What truth awaited her? Would it help her finally understand her father's past or bind her closer to the hurt? With that lingering question, the night stretched long, and Sarah wondered if she was truly ready for what came next. It felt like she stood at the edge of a vast ocean, waves of uncertainty crashing against her, ready to pull her in. The morning light filtered through the curtains, and Sarah blinked awake, her mind still swirling with last night's revelations. The phone lay beside her, the screen dark but still so foreboding. Each time she brushed her fingers over it, the weight of uncertainty settled deeper into her chest. "Mom. Breakfast." Jake's voice echoed from the kitchen, bright and clear. It was a stark contrast to the turbulent thoughts she still fought to understand. With a deep breath, she swung her legs over the side of the bed and pushed herself up. Routine awaited her, demanding to be embraced. As she made her way down the hall, the aroma of pancakes wafted through the air, comforting and familiar. Lily's giggles reached her first, followed by the thud of her little feet as she danced around the table, eager for the morning feast. "Pancakes with sprinkles," Lily squealed, her face beaming with excitement. "Only the best for my favorite girls," Jake chimed in, a spatula in hand like a knight wielding a sword. Sarah couldn't help but smile. The warmth of these moments wrapped around her like a cozy blanket, momentarily shielding her from the cloud of confusion. She joined them, folding herself into their world, but the phone's persistent presence nagged at the edge of her consciousness. After breakfast, while the kids played a board game together, Sarah took the chance to walk outside for a moment of fresh air. The sun was bright, and the world felt alive with possibility. She breathed deeply, trying to exhale the stress. With her hand resting on the railing of the porch, she looked out into the distance. What did she truly want? Her phone buzzed to life, and quickly she checked it, her heart racing again. Another message from the unknown number. "Meet me at the park at noon. Please, don't ignore this. It's important." The urgency in those words sent a chill up her spine. Was she ready to confront the ghosts of her past? Was she ready to face whatever truth was waiting for her? "Mom?" Lily's voice cut through her thoughts, pulling her back. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, sweetheart, just thinking about things," she replied softly, forcing a smile. "Can we play outside?" Jake asked, his excitement breaking through. Sure. Let us go. Sarah turned away from her phone, tucking it into her pocket as if sealing away the flood of emotions it carried. They spent the morning playing tag and racing around the yard until their laughter filled the air like music. In those moments of joy, something shifted within Sarah. She didn't have all the answers, but she could create happiness for her children, one smile at a time. When the sky began to change colors, and the time ticked closer to noon, a weight pressed down on her again. She needed to make a decision. Would she meet that mysterious person? Was it time to discover the truth that could unravel her tightly woven family narrative? Okay, kids, it's time for a break. How about some ice cream? Yes. They shouted in unison, both running toward her with open arms while they treated themselves to sweet delight. Sarah's resolve began to crystallize. She would find out the truth, not just for herself but for her children, too. They deserved to know the whole story, free from the shadows of her past. As they strolled to the car, hand in hand, another question rose up inside her. Was she strong enough to hear whatever was revealed? The clock was ticking, and she was about to step into a world where everything might change. What awaited her at that park? Was this the moment that would either bind her closer to her siblings or tear them apart forever? As they drove to the park, the tension in Sarah's chest grew heavier, each minute stretching into a small eternity. Jake and Lily chatted animatedly in the back seat, oblivious to the tumult swirling in their mother's mind. The world outside blurred by kids riding bikes, families walking dogs, elderly couples strolling hand in hand. It all felt so normal, so ordinary, while she grappled with the secrets swirling in her history. What's wrong, Mom? Jake's voice broke through her thoughts, a note of concern layered over his usual enthusiasm. Nothing, sweetie. Just thinking about family stuff, she replied, forcing a smile that felt more like a mask than a genuine expression. Do you think they'll have ice cream at the park? Lily piped up, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. Maybe. We'll have to see what they've got, Sarah responded, determined to latch onto the innocence of her children's excitement. She needed to be present, to focus on them, but the gnawing sense of dread kept pulling her gaze to the clock on the dashboard. Finally, they arrived. The park was bustling, the sun shining brightly over the green expanse, children giggling while parents watched, the sound of laughter filling the air. Sarah took a deep, stabilizing breath, feeling the warmth of the sun on her face. Maybe this outing was just what she needed to clear her mind before diving into the past. Let us play a quick game of tag, Jake yelled, darting from the car. Lily squealed and chased after him, her little legs pumping with determination. Watching them, Sarah felt a tug of joy. They were happy and carefree, and she wanted to hold on to that just a little longer. However, as she scanned the park with a smile, she thought of the message waiting in her pocket. One more glance at the unknown number, one more question weighing on her heart. Why don't you kids run ahead? I'll catch up in a minute, she called, pretending to stretch. In reality, she needed a moment. Alone, she reached into her pocket and pulled out the phone, staring at the screen as if it might reveal the answers without her even needing to read them. The park seemed to fade away around her, the laughter and happiness dimming into the background. She felt like she was standing at the edge of a cliff, looking down into a chasm of uncertainty. What if the meeting was everything she feared? What if it wasn't? Mom. Look. Jake's voice snapped her back. He was atop a jungle gym, waving excitedly. Lily stood below, gazing up in awe. Sarah's heart swelled watching them, and for a split second, she felt the familiar reassurance of family. But then that nagging thought took hold again. Would the truth shatter that sense of security? A gust of wind swept through the park, rustling the leaves. In that moment, she made a choice. She had to find out what message was waiting and what her past held for her. Maybe it was time to stop living in fear. She gave the kids a bright smile, the kind that said she was right there with them. Okay, I'm coming. As she jogged toward their laughter, the phone buzzed again, a reminder of the reality she could not escape. She looked down to see another message, I'm here. Under the big oak tree. Her heart raced. Time to face whatever came next. Could she find the answers she sought, or would this meeting spiral into chaos? The big oak tree loomed ahead, a sentinel of secrets, waiting to reveal its truths. As she approached, the knot in her stomach tightened. Who was waiting for her? Would she be met with compassion or pain? This was only the beginning, and suddenly, the anticipation of revelation became almost unbearable. The big oak tree stood tall and magnificent, its branches stretching out like welcoming arms. As Sarah neared, her heart raced faster. Each step felt heavier, weighed down by the secrets and the uncertainty that felt more like a living thing than just thoughts in her mind. Jake and Lily were lost in their game, their laughter ringing out like chimes in the wind. For a moment, Sarah could almost forget the tension tightening her chest. Approaching the tree, she scanned the area. The park was alive, but the world just beneath the shade of the oak felt eerily still, as though it was holding its breath, waiting for the inevitable confrontation, and then she saw him. A man, casually leaning against the trunk, arms crossed. His hair was dark and tousled, his brown eyes piercing. He looked familiar, and yet, different. The very sight of him sent a flood of memories crashing into her. This could be the brother she had never met, the connection she'd longed for yet feared. Sarah? His voice was calm, the most disarming thing about him. Yeah, she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. He pushed himself off the tree and took a step closer. I'm David. Words caught in Sarah's throat. David. Her mind raced as she tried to piece together the puzzle of the past long-hidden family dynamics resurfacing like ghosts. The dormant emotions began to stir, threatening to overwhelm her just as they had before. Do you want to sit? He gestured toward a nearby bench, and she nodded, though her legs felt like jelly. As she walked, she struggled with the questions bubbling up inside her. What did he know? What had happened all those years ago? Once seated, they sat in silence for a moment, the sounds of the park filtering in and out of Sarah's awareness. She focused on the chatter of children, the joyful squeals familiar yet foreign. How's Mom? David broke the silence. The question hung in the air like a heavy weight. She's well, Sarah managed, her heart pounding. She's still in town. Still living with the secret? His voice was steady but edged with concern. I don't know what you mean, she said, trying to maintain composure, though she felt the crack in her facade. I barely know you. He opened his mouth to speak, but the words didn't come out right away, and Sarah felt the seconds stretching, filled with unspoken weight. I thought I was alone for a long time, he said finally, his eyes earnest. But you're here. We're family. Family. That word sent a shudder through her. The longing for connection battled against the fear of more heartache. I received a message, Sarah confessed, her voice trembling. I didn't know what to expect. You don't really know me. Then let me help you know, he soothed. We both deserve to find out the truth. A tether of warmth flickered within her. The thought of uncovering secrets felt dangerous yet liberating. Could he truly help her understand her past? From a distance, Jake waved, calling her name. Lily, right behind him, wore a bright smile, oblivious to the tension in the air. Sarah turned back to David, a mix of hope and dread swirling inside. Can we talk more? Absolutely, he replied with a gentle nod. As they exchanged contact information, the world around her melted away. The weight of the unknown was still there, but so was a hint of possibility. Just then, Sarah noticed a flicker of chaos unfolding in the distance. Children laughing turned to panic as someone fell, cries echoing in the atmosphere. Heart pounding, she stood up instinctively. What's happening? David asked, his eyes widening. I don't know. Sarah responded, feeling time slow as she glanced back at her children. Before she could process, instinct took over. She ran towards Jake and Lily, ready to protect them. This wasn't just a family outing anymore, it was a crossroad of the past and present. What would they discover when the dust settled? Would the truth unravel or bind them tighter together? The unknown loomed large as she raced toward her children, the shadows of past secrets mixing with the bright light of potential change. The panic in the park spread like wildfire. Sarah's heart raced as she sprinted, her mind flooded with images of Jake and Lily, their innocent smiles suddenly overshadowed by a cloud of worry. What if they were hurt? What if something terrible had happened? As she ran, she pushed through the throng of onlookers, parents grabbing their children, a group of teens looking confused, and a couple of elder folks frowning as they sought answers. In the chaos, Sarah's focus remained sharp. She maneuvered around a pram, skirted a picnic blanket scattered with toys, and finally spotted her children, standing wide-eyed a few feet away. "Mom!" Jake cried out, desperation threading his voice. Lily clutched his hand tightly, her other hand pulling at her hair anxiously. Relief crashed over Sarah like a wave. She reached them, kneeling down to meet their worried faces. "Are you both okay?" she asked, her voice shaking. "We thought someone had fallen," Jake exclaimed, pointing toward a small crowd gathered near the playground equipment. Sarah followed his gaze. A little boy, no older than 5, was sitting on the ground, tears streaming down his cheeks. A woman held him close, whispering soothing words, but the panic radiating from the spectators only escalated the tension. "Is he all right?" Lily asked, her innocent concern tugging at Sarah's heart. "We should see," Sarah said, her protective instincts kicking in. "Stay right here." She stood and moved toward the crowd cautiously, her own heart racing not from fear, but from the urge to help. As she approached, she overheard snippets of conversation, words like fell, scrape, and hospital. It was the kind of noise that churned a knot in her stomach. Her mind flickered back to earlier, how she had been consumed with thoughts of family. Now, in this moment, she was reminded of the fragility of life. Just then, she glanced back toward David, still standing near the oak, looking on with concern. Their eyes met, and she felt something profound in that brief connection, a shared understanding of uncertainty, fear, and perhaps hope. "Is that your child?" a voice interrupted her thoughts. An older man, wrinkled from years in the sun, was looking right at her. "No," she replied softly, shaking her head. "But I'm a mother." "A good one," he responded, his gaze steady. "You want to help, don't you?" "Yes," Sarah breathed. "But how?" "Find out what he needs," he said simply. The words settled into her. It was a direct call to action that rang clear in the cacophony around them. She pushed forward, determined to aid the little boy. A moment later, she was kneeling beside the sobbing child, her voice gentle. "Hey there, buddy. What's your name?" His watery eyes blinked up at her, unsure but hopeful. "Tommy." "Tommy. That's a great name. Can you tell me what happened?" "I fell," he hiccuped, rubbing his knee. "Let us take a look." Sarah gently took his leg and lifted it to inspect the scrape. It wasn't as bad as it sounded, just a little dirt and a scrape. She took a deep breath, ready to reassure him. "Looks like you're tough, Tommy. That's just a little boo-boo. How about we get some water and maybe a fun sticker after? Sound good?" His face brightened a little. "I like stickers. See? There's always a silver lining," she smiled, feeling the warmth of connection not just with Tommy but with the people around her. Behind her, David had moved closer, observing the scene with a soft expression. Just when she thought this moment could not be more healing, Jake and Lily came up beside her. "Can we help too?" Jake asked, his eyes shining with determination. "Of course." Sarah grinned, her heart swelling with pride. They were rising to the occasion, embodying compassion. As they tended to Tommy, a wave of calm washed over them all. The panic in the park began to ebb, and Sarah wondered if maybe this was what family meant, coming together in moments of chaos, united in kindness. But even as she found solace in this small act of compassion, echoes of her earlier conversation with David lingered just beneath the surface. Questions about her past still beckoned, casting shadows around their newfound bond. Who else is out there? She wondered silently. As Tommy's laughter mixed with her children's, a spark ignited in her. Would confronting her fears and pursuing family mean discovering more than she bargained for, the storm was settling outside, but inside her, the tempest raged on. What more truths lay beneath the surface, waiting to be unearthed? Tommy's laughter rang clear, cutting through the remnants of panic still fluttering in the air. Each giggle brought Sarah a sense of lightness, grounding her in this moment of connection. She smiled down at the little boy, feeling a fierce protectiveness that spurred her to envelop him and her children in a bubble of comfort. "All right, Tommy. Let us get you some water and that sticker I promised," Sarah announced, standing up and brushing the dirt from her knees. Jake and Lily echoed her excitement, eager to take their new friend under their wing. Together, they led Tommy toward the park's water fountain, their little group a tower of compassion in the midst of chaos. But as the children chattered and laughed, Sarah's mind didn't settle. She stole glances back at David, who had remained at a distance, quietly observing. Could this simple act of kindness somehow lead her back to him? To the conversations that still begged for attention? The stirring questions in her heart began to feel heavier, as the whispering that she couldn't just brush them aside anymore. "Mom. Look." Jake called out, pointing to a colorful sticker sheet taped to a nearby tree. "We can get him those." "Great eye, buddy," Sarah said, her spirits lifting. She turned to Tommy. "What do you think? Want to pick your favorite?" "Yeah," Tommy exclaimed, his excitement momentarily overshadowing the previous discomfort. While the kids ran off together, Sarah lingered for a moment, catching David's gaze again. It felt different now, more intense. After everything that had happened today, there was an unspoken connection that hung between them. Could he help her unearth the truths she was afraid to face? "Hey there," David approached, catching her off guard. His voice was calm, almost soothing amidst the lingering adrenaline of the day. "Hey," she replied, a bit sheepish. "Thanks for coming closer. I didn't want to abandon you, but you know how it is." "The kids, of course," he nodded, his gaze flitting to the children. "They really showed up today, didn't they?" "Yeah," she agreed, a smile breaking across her face. "I'm proud of them. They just jumped right in. Just like their mom," he said, and there was something in his eyes, admiration, perhaps, mixed with a hint of understanding. It struck a deeper chord within her. "Thank you for being here, David," Sarah said, her voice lowering as if sharing a secret. "It means a lot." Before he could respond, the sound of a phone vibrating snapped both of their attention. David pulled out his phone and frowned slightly, glancing at the screen. "Everything okay?" Sarah asked, concern edging her voice. "Yeah, just my sister." He hesitated before adding, "We haven't talked in a while." A shadow of uncertainty crossed his face. For a moment, she saw a glimpse of his own past, the struggles, the unspoken words. "Do you want to take that?" Sarah asked, sensing the weight behind his words. "No, it can wait," he assured her, but the tension remained. "I'd rather be present here, if that's okay." "Absolutely," she replied, her heart beating just a little faster. Being present meant facing both their uncertainties. "I don't know about you," David said, shifting the conversation, "but I could use a little bit of that water, too. It's been an intense day." "I hear you." Sarah chuckled, glad for the lightheartedness. They moved toward the fountain, but the conversation felt charged, like there was something suspended in the air between them. Just as they reached the fountain, her phone buzzed. A quick glance revealed a text from her mother. "Hey, Sarah, got something important to share with you. Promise to call me back ASAP. Love you." The words rattled in her mind. Important? What could be so urgent that it demanded her immediate attention? "Everything all right?" David asked, noticing her sudden tension. She hesitated, her pulse quickening. The unraveling of her reality seemed to beckon her closer. Her mother's message combined with the connection she felt with David propelled her to choose transparency. "I don't know yet," Sarah admitted, her heart racing. "But I think it's time I figure it out." As Tommy laughed again, joy and worry danced in her mind. She had once sought clarity in her life, now it felt just out of reach. What truths awaited her in the conversation with her mother? Would it change everything she believed she knew? Tommy was busy splashing water at the fountain, and Jake and Lily were building imaginary castles from the afternoon sun's golden glow. Sarah felt a warmth spreading through her heart, but her fingers gripped the edge of her phone as if it were a lifebuoy. The text from her mother loomed over her like a heavy cloud, threatening to rain down when she least expected it. "Hey, are you okay?" David's voice broke through her thoughts. He stood beside her, his brows slightly furrowed in concern. "Yeah," she replied too quickly, forcing a smile. But the gnawing unease in her chest wouldn't let her go. "I just got a message from my mom." She sounded urgent. "Oh? Should we step away and talk?" David suggested, a hint of protectiveness in his tone. Sarah considered it for a moment. The notion of dragging her kids away from the joy of splash and laughter felt wrong. Yet, the worry gnawed at her more than the insecurities of her past. "No, I think it's fine. I can handle it after this." She swallowed, forcing her fingers to relax. "Sorry for being distracted." "No need to apologize," David responded gently. "It sounds like family matters are never simple, right?" His words hung in the air, carrying weight. It felt as if he understood something deeper. "I guess we're all just trying to untangle our thoughts," she said after a pause. "Like those water hoses that get all twisted." David chuckled at her analogy, but there was still seriousness behind his eyes. "The trick is figuring out which knot to untie first." As the kids continued to play, splashes of water sparkling in the sun, Sarah felt an urge to lean into the moment, to embrace both the joy and the frustration. There was clarity in chaos. But her mother's words loomed ever present. "Should we gather the kids for a few minutes?" David suggested, glancing toward the trio. "I know they're having fun, but I want to make sure we're all okay before we dive back into that." "Yeah, let us do that." Sarah felt appreciative but hesitant. Pulling the children from their fun might disturb the fragile balance she'd just built. Yet, she knew that clarity couldn't come at the expense of ignoring the truths that were screaming for her attention. "Guys!" David called out, his voice cutting through the laughter. "Can we take a quick break? Come here." Jake, Lily, and Tommy, drenched and beaming, scampered over. Tommy's grin made Sarah's heart swell. "What's up, Mr. David?" Jake asked, his face still aglow with joy. "Let us have a quick chat," David said, kneeling to be eye level with the kids. "We're going to talk about what we've learned today." As he spoke, Sarah's mind wandered. Would this casual conversation about today morph into something bigger? What if their joy meant more than just a simple park outing? She could feel the knot tightening, that familiar feeling of fear mingling with hope. They circled, sitting on the grass. David started sharing how brave he thought Tommy had been during the incident. It shifted Sarah's focus away from her worries, and she found herself smiling, heartwarming pride swelling as she listened to the children chime in, each adding their own twist to the tale of teamwork. How beautiful, she thought, how pure. And still, the thought of confronting whatever her mother wished to share lingered like a shadow, refusing to be ignored. Once everyone had expressed their thoughts, David turned toward Sarah, curiosity lighting up his face. "What about you, Sarah? What did you learn?" The kids watched her, their expectant eyes full of trust and excitement. She felt her pulse quicken again, the beating heart of a ticking clock in the back of her mind. "I learned that family is about being there for each other, even when things get messy," Sarah said slowly, feeling both brave and vulnerable. The words echoed her unspoken fears, what she truly needed to confront. "Exactly," David said, his eyes searching hers briefly. "And sometimes, we realize we're more connected than we think." Before she could answer, her phone buzzed again, slicing through the moment's serenity, this time like the tolling of a bell. "What now?" She sighed softly, glancing down to see another text from her mother. It read, "Sarah, please call me when you get a chance. We really need to talk." Her heart raced. A need to shake off the dread filled her, as questions burned in her mind. What was she holding on to, and how could a simple conversation unravel so much? David frowned slightly. "Everything all right?" Not wanting to alarm the kids, she forced a smile. Yeah, just family stuff. But deep down, she knew the unraveling had only begun. What if this conversation with her mother shifted everything she thought she knew about herself and her family? What awaited her on the other end of the line? Would revealing those truths bring her closer to the family she cherished, or tear open wounds she thought were long healed? Sarah's heart thudded in her chest as she glanced at the text again. The simplicity of her mother's words felt loaded with weighty implications. She forced herself to focus on the laughter of her kids, their joy a beacon amid the swirling doubts in her mind. Still, uncertainty lingered like a cold shadow. "All right, gang," David said, breaking into her spiral of thoughts. "Let us get back to playing. Who's ready for another round of splash-tastic fun?" "Me. Me," shouted Tommy, bouncing on the balls of his feet. Lily and Jake erupted with laughter, their energy infectious. As they darted back to the fountain, the sunlight caught the droplets, creating a rainbow that arched over them, a glimmer of hope in that carefree space. But Sarah remained partially unanchored, tension coiling within her. Could she truly go back to this moment of lightheartedness while knowing that a storm was brewing just beneath the surface? David remained by her side, watching the kids splash and squeal. He turned to Sarah, his expression softening. "Hey," he hesitated for a moment, searching for words. "You don't have to ignore what's weighing on you. It's okay to talk about it." His voice resonated with sincerity. She could see the concern etched in his features. Leaning a bit closer, she whispered, "It's just I don't want to ruin this moment. They're so happy." "They'll still be happy after," he reassured her. "Trust me. You won't ruin anything by sharing. It might actually help release some of that weight off your shoulders." His words sank in, and Sarah felt a flicker of courage rise within her. Perhaps sweeping her fears under the rug wasn't the solution. Maybe facing them could bring clarity, not just to herself but to her children too. Taking a deep breath, she exhaled slowly, allowing herself a moment to gather her thoughts. "All right. How about you and I step aside for a moment? I think it's time I figure out what's really going on with my mother." "Great," David nodded, offering her a reassuring smile. "I'm right here." As they drifted a few paces away from the fountain, murmurs of laughter faded slightly, yet the sunshine felt warmer, almost inviting. Sarah felt the heaviness in her heart shift. The act of acknowledging her feelings was a small step toward freedom. "Do you want me to stay with you while you call?" David asked, concern still flickering in his eyes. "For now, yes. I think I need the support." She held her phone tightly, the device suddenly feeling a lot heavier, like a relic from the past filled with old stories and unresolved emotions. David nodded again, his presence steadying. Sarah chose her moment wisely, pressing the call button. The ringing was too loud against the backdrop of the kids' laughter, each tone amplifying the tension building inside her. After 2 rings, a familiar voice answered, full of warmth yet carrying an edge of urgency. "Sarah, sweetheart. I'm so glad you called." "Hi, Mom," Sarah responded, her voice trembling slightly. "You mentioned needing to talk. Is everything okay?" There was a pause before her mother answered, and Sarah could feel the weight of the moment. "There's something I've held back for too long and it's time we faced it." An icy wave of anticipation washed over her. The kids continued their fun, completely unaware of the emotional tremor threatening to shake Sarah's very foundation. "What is it?" she barely managed to ask, her voice quiet. "Oh, honey, it's complicated." The words sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. Complicated? That could mean anything. Hope clashed with dread as she clung to David's comforting presence, feeling a barricade form between the innocence of childhood giggles and the tough reality flashing before her. What could this complicated truth be? And would it usher an understanding or chaos within her family? As her mother spoke, Sarah's grip on her phone tightened. The path ahead was quickly becoming murky, and she couldn't shake the feeling that nothing about her life would be the same once she got to the other side of this conversation. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows around the park, but Sarah felt a different warmth rising within her. Her mother's voice crackled on the line, a mixture of love and remorse threading through every word. There are things about your father's situation that I've never told you, things that could change everything you believe. Sarah's heart raced, the tremors of uncertainty rippling through her. Beside her, David's calm presence steadied her as she leaned against him, breaths matching his steady rhythm. "Mom," she said softly, almost pleading, "I need to know. I can't carry this weight anymore." With that simple statement, she felt her fears start to morph into resolve. Her mother cleared her throat, a nervous sound rattling through the connection. "It's about your father and why he left." Each syllable felt heavy, weighted down by years of silence. As the words poured out, memories wrapped around Sarah like an old blanket, tinged with the scent of unspoken truths. "He didn't choose to abandon us. He was taken from us, caught in a web of circumstances beyond our control. He was fighting battles you never knew existed." Sarah felt her heart tug as the pieces began to fit together. A warrior lost not out of choice, but out of the chaos of life. "But why didn't you tell me?" she managed, worry and sadness mingling in her throat. "You were so young, Sarah. I didn't want to burden you with the darkness of it all," her mother continued, her voice breaking. "But now, I realize that hiding it has only caused more pain. Your father loved you, and he would have given anything to be here." Tears welled in Sarah's eyes, but a different kind of clarity washed over her. "And David?" she whispered. Is he family?" "Yes, dear. He's your brother. You're connected in ways that go beyond memories." A rush of warmth spread through her heart, igniting a sliver of hope. She glanced at David, who listened intently, his gaze unwavering. "We can find our way back together," she thought, courageous words illustrating a path towards reconciliation and understanding. "Mom, I want to understand. I want to know my family," she said, her voice stronger now. "Can we work through everything together?" A pause hovered before her mother responded, her voice softer now, filled with emotion. "I've missed you both so much, Sarah. We can build something new if you're willing to open that door." Tears rolled freely down Sarah's cheeks, but now they were infused with strength. "I am. More than anything." As the call ended, Sarah glanced into the laughter unfolding before her. Jake and Lily, their innocent joy back in full swing, were perched on the edge of the fountain, Tommy splashing water at them, giggling as bright summer rays illuminated their playful faces. The laughter tugged her heart, blending into the newfound sense of belonging that encircled them all. Turning back to David, she felt a rush of gratitude. "Thank you for being here," she whispered. "I think I can finally see a way forward." "Together," he affirmed, the word holding more weight than any promise. In that moment, she knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. But with every layer of secrecy peeled back, new connections formed. Families could rebuild, reshape, and grow stronger through love and understanding. "Kids," she called out, embracing her own courage. "Let us make a memory today." The laughter shifted, they huddled around her, curious and eager. "What's the plan, Mom?" Lily's eyes sparkled. Sarah reached for their hands, gathering her family tight. "We're going to be brave together. We're going to learn more about who we really are." The promise of truth glimmered ahead, flickering like the carnival lights that danced in her memory. They took off together, their laughter ringing out like a melody filled with hope. Together, they would face what was next, the bond of family guiding them. As the sun began to set, casting golden hues across the park, Sarah felt a warmth enveloping her, an embrace of possibility, forgiveness, and love. They would write their own story, filled with unity and light, and in that moment, in the changing light, the journey of healing and connection had only just begun. If this story moved you, then you need to subscribe now. Don't wait not even one more second to support us. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and share your feelings about this emotional ending in the comments below. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this heartwarming transformation. This is the moment to show your support.